Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome here on my channel. And before we get started, I need to explain the clickbait title. No, I've never hated women at all. However, we are going to talk about red pill and what I feel red pill leads to. I'll explain in this video, inshallah. Please pay attention. Now, we have to understand what is red pill. So the idea is that red pill comes from the idea of the Matrix, because Neo was given the red pill and the blue pill, and it was chosen either the blue pill, stay ignorant and behave as if everything is fine, or take the red pill and wake up. And this is essentially what red pill is about. It's about, well, the thing is, the definition of red pill, I would argue that it isn't well defined because there isn't a particular person, one individual who you could say found this idea and coined this idea. If anything, people who ascribe to red pill ideology or praxology, or even call it, they are not in agreement in a lot of things. But if anything, they would say it's you could say a waking up of men as to many things about the nature of women, the nature of men, gender roles between so on and so forth. But if I was to summarize it, I had a summary here, or what I feel is the intended ideology behind red pill. When I say intended, it doesn't mean that's what they actually achieve, what it actually ends up being, but at least in theory, what it intends to be an ideology that seeks to explain the behaviors between a man and a woman, between husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, man boy and girl, so on and so forth. So it seeks to understand the nature of human behavior from the aspect of gender and gender roles. Now, the reason, one of the things I wanted to cover this topic is because I myself, for many years, have been or had been consuming MGTOW content and red pill content. What does that mean? So many years ago, actually, I stumbled across a few YouTube channels, and it turns out these channels were primarily, most of them, were ascribed to what's called the MGTOW movement. So what's MGTOW movement? It's an abbreviation for men going their own way. What is meant by men going their own way? It's meant that in our society, in Western society, men are treated so badly that many men have decided to just go their own way. Now, why did I? What was the appeal in me personally in consuming their content? Well, it was a few things. Primarily, it was the humor. Um, some of the videos that they had and discussed, they analyzed certain situations between a man and a woman, husband and wife, so on and so forth, and gave a humorous take on it. And I say humorous, I mean, I'm sure they were very serious about their take on it, but for me, it was partial comedy. So basically, it was an idea of listening to how they framed situations. Now, again, why would I be interested in such a thing? Well, it wasn't actually to become MGTOW or ascribe to MGTOW. It was for me a look at how bad things have got in the West. So in Islam, gender roles are quite clear. The man looks after the woman because Allah mentioned al-rijalu qawwamuna ala nisa. Men are the maintainers, sustainers, people who look after the women. And I've given quite a broad definition or many words to explain the one word qawwam. And I would like to give a bit more background to the word qawwam. It comes from the word qama or istiqama. So if you would say istiqama, it means to keep something in the straight and right, straight and narrow, upright, because other than that, it will be crooked, it will be bent, will be out of shape. So it's for men to maintain the world, you could say maintain the world, women, looking after them, taking care of them, sustaining their needs, which is kind of reflected in the Sharia when we look at the rights the woman has over her husband, what he must do for her in terms of provision of home, food, clothing, shelter, that kind of stuff. So we are essentially responsible for looking after their world, giving them the world that Allah has ordered us to give them. So that's, you could say, in essence, qawwam. Qawwam is on a pattern of fa'al, which basically means the one who does this often, makes something upright and straight. Often, as a regular thing, he does perpetually. Like when we say Allah is Ar-Razzaq, he provides for us perpetually all the time, and so on and so forth. So, looking at how the kuffar are dealing with their lives, um, how they are, how can I say, how their marriage situations are going, how their boyfriend and girlfriend situations going. For me, it was almost comical because we have Islam, it's very clear, and it works. And we have their system, which they're kind of figuring out as they go along. So there was that aspect. Um, so think that they cover topics like the difficulty for women to get married after a certain age. So obviously, when we have, and again, this is framing in their world, when you have the sexual marketplace, i.e., that they've opened up sex to the masses, whereby everyone can do as they want outside of marriage. So therefore, now there's a arena where you can go out and seek intimacy from the opposite gender, um, and you can almost say the idea of marriage has been pushed to the periphery, pushed to the side. Why get married so young when you can explore yourself? So for me, it was like, okay, let's see how it's going. That's your idea. How well is it going for you? And as many women from the non-Muslim women are delaying marriage and are experimenting and exploring in their youth, as they get older, they realize that wait, it's difficult to get married. Um, it's also they covered also they talked about issues of men and women and men's income and how their income affects the woman's interest, you could say, in him. They're focused on, for example, how women like men who are taller, stronger, strong men, that kind of stuff. So essentially, what they're saying is that women want men to be leaders, to be take control, that kind of stuff, and they were just analyzing and discussing these kind of things. There also was another, you could say, um, reason for me to consume their content. And like I said, from the very beginning, most of the years, these years, it was content in that direction. So you can almost say red pill, MGTOW, they're not the same thing. They're varying scales of the same thing. You can almost say like you have the extremists and you have various scales of the same ideology or similar ideology. So one of the aspects was, I don't know if you've heard the word rage porn. I know it's a bit of a crude word or name, but basically it refers to when you watch videos that enrage you, but that's the intent, is to, oh, I can't believe they did that. Oh no, this is terrible. That's the thing. People do that, and obviously I did that as well. So what was the rage? So the idea was, in our society, how are men treated in our society, how our rights are, you could say, trodden on as a man, how essentially, and especially, and from my perspective, there are many rights as a man, which Islam gives us as rights, that are not respected or acknowledged in Western society. So it was about how bad things are in that respect. So, for example, how many ways in which women oppress men legally in our system, um, how women take away half of their money or more when they get divorced, and they take away their children, that kind of stuff. So again, that is essentially what led men to go their own way, or MGTOW, because essentially it was saying, we're getting a raw deal here. We go to get married. We wish to look after and take care of this lady, give her love and affection. And what does she do? She takes us to the cleaners. She basically um, bankrupts us after we tried our best to be good to them. So why bother? Let's just go our own way and do our own thing. That's essentially what they were saying. So it wasn't due to an appeal. I wasn't in contemplating going my own way. I've been, alhamdulillah, happily married for 20 plus years. So it's not like I was gonna go my own way. But like I said, those two aspects, the comical aspect of how bad their society is getting, and also that bit of rage porn where, wait, this is how it is to be a man in the West. realistically speaking. And let's be honest, as much as we say they or the non-believers or this is how their world is, the Muslims are affected by that to some degree, maybe to a lesser extent, but it does occur. You have plenty of women who divorce their husbands and take away half their wealth, although they have no Islamic right to do so, but it happens. Let's not play like it doesn't happen. It does happen, but obviously to a smaller scale. Um, so all of this was casual entertainment, comical, laughing, that kind of stuff. But what I didn't realize was that there were certain premises and ideas, casual ideas at the time, as I suspected, were rubbing off on me, and I wasn't aware entirely of what was being said and how it conflicts with Islam. So don't get me wrong, I understood many things that conflicted Islam, especially the things that they promote zina and so that was obviously haram. But it's the subtle things which we will discuss today. What subtle things exactly would I say? Um, Red pill teaches that is against Islam. Okay, so I titled this part here as "A lie will become true if repeated enough." If you watch something over and over and over again, if you didn't realize the first time and eventually you keep on repeating, it becomes your world. And this is why I often say to people, look, if you live in a non-Muslim country, understand that the environment is rubbing off on you because the kufr and the shirk and the dalal misguidance is constant, relentless, over and over again, up until you don't even recognize it's even there anymore. And then eventually it becomes, unfortunately, part of your behavior and even ideology, unfortunately. So hijrah is important to consider. Anyway, what were these ideas? So, first one would be the idea of hypergamy. What does hypergamy mean? Well, we're going to discuss this all in detail in a minute. So, first one is that women are hypergamous in nature, all of them. Every last woman is hypergamous by her nature. Okay. The second idea is the idea of the high value man, the man who gets all the girls, the Chad, the guy who just walks in the street and all the girls just want him, the Chad. So that's an idea. Um, and some of these ideas, as I mentioned to you, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, what's wrong with that? That's true, though, isn't it? Well, let's have a look. Another idea was all women want from man, all that women want from a man is his resources. Now, if MGTOW, this is a bit exaggerated because they see that in a bitter way, as in, that's all she wants from me, like a parasite, sucking onto your bank balance and draining your account and then leaving you high and dry when you finish. So they have a very negative way of looking at it. Red pill don't necessarily see it as a negative. Rather, they use that as a mechanism to navigate. As in, if this is what she wants, then this is what she's gonna get. I want something from her, so I just get what she wants, and then that's how the dynamics work out. But that's what the idea that they had. All men want from women is sex. Now, again, some may say, but isn't that what men want from women? Again, we'll discuss that in a minute. But primarily, they've reduced the need of a man from a woman to that one cardinal thing: intimacy. That's it. And this idea, which is, I won't say specific to MGTOW, because there are many content creators who spoke about this, and actually, one was a woman. Can't remember her name. Something Strauss, something like that. But she mentioned this topic called the disposable male. Very important idea. It's very interesting, actually. The idea that the man in society is disposable, and the real value is with the woman. So the idea is that there's an inherent value in a woman, whereas a man's value, he has none. He has to earn it, and essentially, a man is disposable. Um, it sounds a bit absurd, but when you look at some of the examples they have, it makes you think, oh, okay, that does make some sense. And this is why we want to discuss this. And I want to discuss how these ideas are from Shaitan.